Greetings and welcome to our devotion time. It's certainly good to be with you. Sadly, as this new world begins, there is a reintroduction of sin into this new life community that God has created. And as sin entered the world through one man, Adam, in the Garden of Eden, so it will come through one man, Noah's son, Ham. Now here's the story. It starts with Noah planting a vineyard. He's no longer being called to focus on shipbuilding and animal shepherding. It's the past now. But now he's been called to walk out this divine instruction to be fruitful. So Noah tries his hands at grapes, and that's not a sin. The story also involves Noah in due season harvesting the grapes that grew in the vineyard, and that's not a sin either. In the story, it proceeds to include Noah, our righteous and blameless man who walks with the Lord, as did Enoch. Maybe he begins to drink a little bit too much of the fruit of his vineyard, and he winds up badly under the influence, retiring to his tent and passing out cold, rolling around in the tent unconscious, in this unconscious state until he's unclothed. Now, Scripture puts it this way. He drank some of the wine, making himself drunk, and uncovered himself in the tent. And that's Genesis chapter 9, verse 21. Now, this may come as a bit of a surprise to some, but that is not the sin. The sin was not Noah's drinking of wine. The sin was not Noah becoming intoxicated. The sin was not Noah lying around naked in his own tent. Scripture doesn't place any blame whatsoever on Noah for this things that are happening. While our life experiences and teach us that overindulgence in any fashion, in anything, is unwise, and particularly alcohol, which is fraught with all kinds of dangers. The truth is, fermented drinks are neither outlawed nor declared as evil in and of themselves by the Bible. So understand that the sin introduced in chapter 9 is not Noah's drinking of wine or even his becoming drunk. So you might ask, what is the sin? How does sin re-enter the world after the flood? What happens through a disrespectful, dishonoring conduct of a son, Ham, towards his father. And here is how Scripture talks about it. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness, and that's Genesis 9, verse 22, right at the beginning. Ham was a full-grown man with a wife. Why did he enter Noah's tent without an invitation? Why was he there? And we're not told what possessed Ham to make him invade his father's privacy. All we're told is that he entered Noah's tent and saw his father's nakedness. Perhaps it's calculated by him, or perhaps it was totally an accident. It was inadvertent, but seeing the nakedness was not the problem. The problem is what he did next. Some of the rabbis of Israel say that upon finding his father passed out and naked, he physically castrated Noah so he could be assured that Noah would produce no more heirs with which he had to compete for Noah's inheritance. Again, Scriptures does not specifically say this happened, but even if Ham did not do that physical act of emasculating his father, he accomplished the same result with his words after he left the tent. Scripture tells us, and he told it to his brothers outside. And that's in Genesis chapter 9, verse 22 as well. What would have been a rare moment of private overindulgence was turned by Ham into a public joke at Noah's expense. Instead of honoring his father, Ham at the very least played a media personality describing his father's nakedness to all who would listen. And he was laughing about his drunkenness in particular details, like he was on primetime TV with a scoop of a story. Shem and Japheth appropriately are horrified, and they take precautions to make sure they don't dishonor their father. And they go into his tent and cover him. Scripture says Shem and Japheth took a cloak and placed it on both their shoulders. Walking backwards, they then covered their father's nakedness. They faced away from him and did not see their father naked. And that's Genesis chapter 9, verse 23. Well, next time we're together, we're going to talk about who is blessed and who is cursed. Now, obviously, we've read this story before and know, but I think it's particularly interesting to be in these scriptures today, thinking about our culture. We some call it, have a society that's a cancel culture, that we're after the dirt on people to, I don't know, to destroy lives, to what shame or whatever you want to call it. And that's not good for our society. It started right here with Noah, this attitude toward of some people, and what we can call, what the scriptures call sin. This idea of canceling someone, this idea of destroying somebody's life, making fun of them, and dishonoring them, especially a child dishonoring a parent. And we're going to see the results of this next time we're together Friday at 10 o'clock. But before you come back Friday, please make plans to come back Wednesday for our Bible study at 10 a.m. as well. Well, I hope you have a good week and live and breathe in God's peace into your life. And don't participate in this cancel culture, but instead breathe new life as our Father in heaven does. Go in peace. Bye now.